Hello, my impatience. It is I, Andrew the Android Koloski here. Good evening to all of you. How art thou? How art thou, my impatience? Um, I hope you will be joining and engaging with me. Ooh, I'm looking at the news here, and yeah, a lot of bad news stories. I mean, I realize you don't want to be willfully blind to what goes on in the news, but also, yeah, it's definitely a real downer what's been going on lately. So try to watch something a little bit more uplifting, like pro sports, or I don't watch pro sports really, but I don't know. Try to just focus on music or something like that. You know, I mean, I realize, that there's tragedy and bad things that go on in the world, but also you can't be like completely obsessed with it because I mean, you know, because that's just bad. Uh, so yeah. So I saw my social worker today. Um, some people thought I was gonna you know, not attend and lose him, but I decided to go through with it, and I'm glad I did. I learned a lot of things. I mean, most notably today, I learned the term. I've learned the term thought broadcasting. Raisins says you've been falling down the right wing pipeline on X, formerly Twitter. Pretty embarrassing for you, Andrew. Well, is Iriana Zarutsky's murder not extremely brutal and gruesome and disturbing? I mean, what's necessarily political about that? Um, what exactly is right wing propaganda here? What exactly is right wing propaganda? I mean, and the knife wielding madman basically said the reason he did it was because she was Caucasian. So I know. I don't know. I hate to. You know, hey, look. No matter what your race, no matter what your gender, if you're nice to me, if you're classy, I'll respect you. You're professional, but I don't know. What's your point, Raisins? Like, what exactly is right wing propaganda here? What exactly is right wing propaganda here? I would say her murder is. Let's change the topic. I mean, unless you want to elaborate here, let's just change the topic. It's a very uncomfortable topic, but some says play dumb and play into. What am I playing into here, though? You know, I mean, when it comes to, I mean, when it comes to George Floyd, according to the autopsy, he died of fentanyl. Is that not true? I know they say, I know they say some people are saying you're being brainwashed by Twitter or X. I mean, it's okay if you disagree with me. Explain to me what exactly I'm wrong about, though. And when it comes to Iriana Zarutska, they had some madman who was a knife wielding maniac who brutally murdered her, and she was petrified and scared for her life while she's getting brutally murdered, and she appeared to be like just a kid. Um, it was. Did you see the videos? Did you see the photos? It was horrific. Somebody says, "Did you hear about Charlie Kirk?" To be honest with you, I didn't. I was unfamiliar with who that was prior. But yeah, I heard he got murdered, unfortunately. Somebody says, "What does the murder of Iriana Zarutska have to do with George Floyd?" No. I guess it has nothing to do. It has absolutely nothing to do with George Floyd, her murder, but also, I think the coverage from the mainstream media is significantly less for Iriana Zarutska when her murder was significantly more gruesome, and the killer literally said it was a hate crime. Where that was up for debate when it came to George Floyd. So I think the reason they're covering it up is because it's a black on white murder, quite frankly. So that's the reason I compared it to George Floyd, because some people say, according to the autopsy report, I realize in the court of law, Derek Chauvin was found guilty of murder, but I don't know. Somebody says your videos could be seen as right-wing dog whistling. Somebody says, you don't even watch the mainstream news, Andrew. They talk about the murder. All right. Yeah, that's true. I try to not watch very much news. It basically depresses me. So you think I'm getting I'm getting brainwashed by the right-wing propaganda on X, formerly Twitter? I mean, I'm open for that. Somebody says you're being fed nonsense on the internet about a cover-up that didn't happen. Erie asks, do you support Derek Chauvin? Well, I don't have enough information. I mean, he was found guilty in the court of law, obviously. However, I did discover, according to his George Floyd's autopsy report, he overdosed on fentanyl. I mean, any asshole on the internet can have an opinion. That doesn't make it fact. Doesn't make it true. Let the courts determine what's true or not. Raisins says this is despicable, Andrew. What is despicable about this? Mm-mm. What is despicable about this? Somebody asks, are you doing anything for September 11th tomorrow? I'm be going to my art class. Somebody says, some people are accusing me of having racist feelings. I don't have racist feelings. How do you figure? How do you figure I have racist feelings? I mean, I don't get who's saying that narrative. You know, I mean, I mean, I respect people. It doesn't matter, who they are. Um, I don't know. I mean, how do I have racist feelings here? Giant Big Lighters is based. All right, I'm gonna start banning people here. Giant Big Lighter says, "Don't reveal your power level." Erie says, "I thought you were moderate, politically speaking." I don't know. I don't know. I personally think when it comes to the murder of Iriana Zarutska, I mean, like, that's not really even a political issue. It's a brutal, gruesome murder where like somebody who's basically a little girl is cowering in fear while she's being savagely slashed to death. I mean, and the guy saying the reason he did it is because she's Caucasian. So that's that's pretty bad. That's pretty bad. I mean, I realize he's a madman. I mean, I realize that's not typical, for anybody, of any race. Nobody does that. I'm not saying that that's typical of anybody of any race, but also, if you do that, you're going to be going to jail. And obviously, you look at Iriana Zarutska. She looks petrified. She looks terrified. And I've and not to make it about myself, but I've felt vulnerable on mass transit before. I know I've gone with my mother and stepfather on mass transit. They've felt vulnerable. Imagine you're just trying to get to your destination and some lunatic starts slashing you, and you're basically a kid and you're dying alone, and you know and everybody all around her, nobody was coming to her defense, which they really should have. I realize, you were on the risk of getting murdered by the madman too. I mean, but at the very least, she died for no reason, scared for her life, petrified, and nobody was consoling her, nobody was comforting her, and she was gruesomely and brutally murdered by a savage. That's not really a political issue, in my opinion. That's a disturbing news story that I don't know. I know he's trying to say the reason he did it is mental health issues. Maybe he's trying to go for an insanity defense. I don't know. Yeah, and he had a long criminal record. He had a history of countless arrests. He had a history of countless arrests too. It's pretty bad. It's not pretty bad. It's like horrible. It's like horrible beyond words. So I mean, fortunately, I mean, Raisins is repeatedly accusing me of being a racist. How do you figure I'm a racist, Raisins? Like, what do I do that's racist? I mean, somebody says bringing up George Floyd was out of pocket. Like, you're not blocked, Kyle. Like, stop accusing me of being racist. Like, what do I do that's racist? What race do I think I'm superior to? What race do I think I'm better than? Who do I think like what do I do that's racist? You know, Iriana says, you think you're superior to African Americans. How so? How do I think I'm superior to African Americans? In fact, there's a really classy woman at the gym today. There was a. I mean, like I'm phobic of being racist. Like I don't know. Like I don't want to be accused of being racist. I'm afraid of being seen as racist. I mean, like, it's like the Red Scare in a way. It's like, oh, Andrew's a racist. I'm like afraid people are going to accuse me and, brand me a racist when I'm just not, like it's like the communist scare. It's like, oh, Andrew's a racist. How so? How am I a racist? What am I doing that's racist? Somebody says, do you get anxious when you see an African American person? I've had friendly acquaintances who are African American, like in the mental health community, for example, and I did not get anxious. But like, let's say, the Iriana Zarutska story comes on the TV, for example, and there's an African American man to the right of me. I might start projecting my fears and, get afraid he's looking at me like I'm a racist. So, but I hear that's really thought broadcasting, and I don't know. I mean, I'm not. I mean, it's like the Red Scare. It's like, yeah. I mean, don't stop accusing me of being racist. I'm not. And what does that even mean? Like, what am I doing that's racist? Like, what does that even mean? I'm just trying to go about my day. Somebody says, "Would you sit beside?" Yeah, no, somebody says, "Would you sit behind?" Hey, I would sit beside anybody of any race if I got a good vibe vibration from them. Let's say somebody of any race that like is going to work, is working as an accountant, a lawyer, and I sit beside them. But there's Caucasian people who are like crackheads who I fucking avoid like they have the plague. You see those crackheads outside Penn Station that are Caucasian? I mean, they give off sketchy, get the hell away from me vibes. It has nothing to do with race. And then there's, African American people who, obviously are very classy, very professional. They've made themselves success stories. Yeah, without hesitation would I sit beside somebody like that. Raisin says, Andrew, you tweeted, turning George Floyd into a hero fits their narrative. But a legitimate victim, Iriana Zarutska, they want to bury up and cover up the story because it doesn't fit their narrative. Somebody says, Andrew, that's not acceptable, I'm sorry to say. All right. Well, let's change the topic here. Maybe I was emotional at the murder of Iriana Zarutska. I mean, it was pretty gruesome and disturbing to look at, and I feel like let's change the topic here. So he says, Andrew, Giant Big Letter says, Andrew, tell them to fuck off. Giant Big Letter says, stick to your convictions and feelings. Don't let them scare you. Don't let them scare you for being, they're trying to accuse you of being a racist. Don't let them do that. Don't let them do that. So let's change topics off the news here to a lighter note. Well, this is more psychological, but I just got lunch or dinner, maybe dinner, I guess lunch, with my father, and it just didn't go over very well. I'm like, just take me home. Just take me home. Iriana or Erie says, I'm not saying you're a racist, but what you tweeted, it was controversial, Andrew. Okay. Everybody puts their foot in their mouth now and then. I'm like always on the internet 24/7. So I'm sure if you explain to me why the comment was controversial, and I'll retract what I've said and said, all right, I apologize. I learn, I'm trying to be a good person. I'm not trying to be, you know, nefarious in any way. I'm trying to do the right thing. I'm not always right. I don't always say the right thing. Raisins says, Andrew, you're a constant. Raisins, you're getting. I mean, you're going away. I mean, she just keeps accusing me of being a racist. She's gone, and rightfully so. Raisins, she earned that ban the hard way. She's really trying to push the Andrew's a racist narrative when it's just not true. All right, guys. Any more questions? Yeah. I talked to my social worker here today, and I'm like, why aren't things getting better? You got to take action to make it get better. And they say, I'm not going to get in trouble if I don't call the SOAR program, but make sure I call the SOAR program and go over there and start progressing and living my life. Because, I'm frustrated that my life isn't progressing and developing and I'm not doing anything. I'm just sitting in solitude. Well, take action. And I know what I need to do, call the SOAR program. Now do it tomorrow, do it. Somebody wants to know what happened with my father. I felt like he was making fun of me. I felt like he had nefarious intentions, and I'm like, just take me home. I felt like he was trying to get me to react to it. Just I don't want to talk about my father really. It was kind of an unpleasant day. I think I basically told him, until you tell me the truth, until you're honest and transparent with me, this relationship is over. And until you're honest and transparent, this relationship is over. I mean, it's. I'm not looking to start a fight. I'm just looking for honesty and transparency, and until he gives me that, I'm done. Until he's completely transparent with me, I'm done. Somebody says, what is he lying to you about? Well, at the very least, I feel like, he's making fun of me. He's, there are things in my childhood that I want him to take accountability for. And I just can't get along with him anymore, really. And, I realize, obviously some people might say it's your schizoaffective. Iriana asks, did he ask if you wanted vegetables? Yeah, obviously that's the classic example of predicate logic we always talk about here. Yeah, I don't know, guys. He did say, as he was leaving, "You're welcome," like Perry Saturn when he went through the Moppy gimmick, which basically indicates, he got concussions, and I took it as he was saying, I got neurological damage from the mega regimen of psychiatric medications, and they pharmacologically abused me. So yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna deny that there was examples of predicate logic that might have fueled my fight with my father today. I mean, he said, he said you're welcome after I didn't thank him for the Chinese food, and he's like, you're welcome. So I'm like, are you doing Moppy Perry Saturn? I mean, I know that's a weird reference, but it basically means somebody who starts talking to inanimate objects because he was given neurological damage. Somebody says, if you didn't watch the Attitude Era wrestling, you would never even pick up on the reference. You got. I mean, like my father did watch it, but all right. Maybe I'm gonna lie down here. I'm getting a little tired. I'm getting a little tired here. I'm like, why aren't things getting better? And we know the reason why, because I'm not taking action to make them get better. You call the SOAR program when it opens tomorrow, and make life happen. Make life happen. It's that simple. All right. Anybody have anything else they'd like to say or add, or? What's for dinner? Well, it was Chinese. It was a Chinese buffet. It didn't go well. At least my interaction with my father didn't go well, but it could have gone worse. I could have started screaming, "You're a monster! You're a sadist!" So I just basically sat there silently and said, "Just take me home. Just take me home until you tell me the truth." So it could have gone worse, but it didn't go well. How many plates did I get? Not too many. To be honest with you, I didn't really like the buffet too much. It was kind of gross. I kind of knew when we got outside, I'm like, this is going to be really sketchy. This is cheap Chinese food buffet. And I'm like, yeah, this and it was pretty disgusting. But, it filled me up, but I was kind of grossed out by it, quite frankly. I don't usually eat so early. It's just because I know somebody's like, "Why are you eating around like 3:30?" It was just today. I usually eat around like 5:30, 5:30. It's not usual. It's not usual to eat that early. Just today. Erie says you ate your food and lashed out on your father. I feel like he deserved it, though. I'm trying to think of other I mean, I felt like he was condescending. He was making fun of me for being stupid. I mean, there were a lot of examples. I mean, I don't know why I feel like he was narcissistically baiting and dog whistling and being condescending and mocking me. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think I am. It's really hard to describe. but also, yeah, I mean, also just get independent and get happy. Giant Big Lighter says, even take more psychiatric medication. You know, taking more medication would stop this nonsense with your mother and father. So, I mean, Gina says maybe your father was just trying to joke around when you were out eating. I guess maybe I was wrong. I don't know why I feel like he's deceiving me. Giant Big Letter says you're very crazy, Andrew. You're very mentally ill. You're very sick. You don't see it, but you're very sick. Yeah, we got some dessert. I mean, we got some dessert. So he says your father getting dinner with you to bully you seems very unlikely. Oh, I guess, guys. I guess you're right. All right. Thanks for watching. I think I mean, unless you have any last questions here, I think I'm gonna lie down for a bit. I'm gonna lie. A giant big lighter says you're mentally unwell, and that's your father, dude. You're getting very sick. You're very sick, Andrew. You're very sick mentally and you're just not doing well. I guess you're right. I guess you're right. There's this go nap off the MSG and maybe you'll feel better. All right. So, yeah, interestingly enough, I told my social worker today how I wanted to succeed. I told him how, I want to be successful and I want to just happen to have schizoaffective disorder. He says a lot of people with schizoaffective disorder and schizophrenia and bipolar, when they get the diagnosis, it's kind of, you know, a lot of people think it's like almost like a death sentence. Like, oh my God, my life is doomed. But I'm like, yeah, no, I don't want to feel my life is doomed. I want to feel, even though I have schizoaffective, I can succeed and make something of my life. And they say, yeah, and the way to do that would be go into the SEWR program, advancing into the PROS program, and making yourself successful. You don't have to be disabled because you're schizoaffective. You can make something of your life, and you don't have to be somebody who's gotten a death sentence diagnosis of severe mental illness. You can do it. You can make your life happen. You know. It's yeah, it's a debilitating bad diagnosis, but also I want to prove the naysayers wrong and make myself succeed. You know what I mean, guys? Erie says TikTok, TikTok. Yeah, I guess time is running out for me. I mean, I'm getting older and older, and I'm not succeeding. So do it. Nobody's going to deliver you success on a golden platter or a silver plate. You have to go out there and live and make your life happen. You know. Oh, I can go to the SOAR program probably Friday, and maybe that's what I should do. Somebody says, you're proving the naysayers wrong so far. Stop proving your haters and naysayers right and prove them wrong. And, make your life happen, Andrew. Make your life happen. Oh, all right, guys. I think I'm gonna peace out here. I'm gonna hit the bricks. I'm gonna hit the dusty trail. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you all again soon. 666 says you're a sleepy boy. Kyle says, have you looked into a new therapist, not just a social worker? Yeah, that's a good idea. Maybe I should look into a new therapist. Gina says, have a good night. Peace out, guys. Peace out.